very exciting.
My kids were watching a cartoon. It's a cute cartoon. Anyways, they're like, and then there was this little elf or something who said, "You have to sign the paperwork. And you have to get all the paperwork filed." And I was like, "Oh, I love this cartoon."
Ooh, documentation.
Yes. Hilda? I think it's called Hilda.
Rick, what happened on Ballpark Road this morning? The big truck, city truck is there around the corner? The big water truck, or?
Our water truck, we don't have our water
Not
truck.
a water,
The
the
bucket
guys were
truck?
out there working, and then the lids on the
Oh,
manholes?
they're
They're flushing the
jetting
lines,
sewer
jetting
lines.
the lines out.
Ah, okay.
He's probably gonna tell us about that.
Oh, okay. I need to know the difference between a water truck and
Just
sewer
maintenance,
truck.
yeah.
This is the place to learn all that stuff.
Exactly.
It's funny, I talked to Ken last night. He said he might be here this morning, but he's not here, so.
Just to see how we do.
Who's that?
Ken Sabers,
Oh,
who you're taking his place.
I know, he's, he's a good neighbor.
Okay, we'll call to order the Municipal Utility Board meeting, Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, 7:30 a.m. First order of business is to welcome our newest board member, Bernie Usera. Welcome to the MUB. And first order of business is to elect a chair person for the next year.
So you're gonna take nominations?
We will take nominations.
I would like to nominate Ron Waterland.
And I'd second that.
But first and a second for Ron Waterland as the chair.
I guess I would agree with that, okay.
Seeing no other nominations, congratulations, Ron. With that, we'll turn the meeting over to you.
I call this meeting to order. We've done 1-1 and 1-2, so consider approval of the agenda. We would consider that.
I would like make an motion to approve the agenda.
Second it.
I guess I'll call the vote. I'm an aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. Consider approval of the minutes from April 23rd. We didn't have a May meeting, so
You're right.
I'd consider approval of that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second it.
Call the vote?
Aye.
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 Okay, that's approved. Approval of the claims. Has everyone had a chance to look through those? Any questions?
Was there a new leak on Nellie Street again? I just saw that.
We had a repair made on Dolan Creek, but not on Nellie, no.
Oh, I thought I saw Nellie and Sherman, or is that just old?
I think that's just a late invoice. You can look at the date on the backside.
Oh, I see it now. Yep, okay. I think that's the only one I had a question on.
I didn't have any questions on anything else.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, the claims are approved. Presentation from Western Dakota Regional Water Systems. I assume that's what you folks are. Okay.
Right, and we'd like to welcome Jim Jones from A2S, as well as Katie LeClaire, who is the executive director?
Oh, no, that's Cheryl Chapman,
Okay.
operations manager.
Operations manager, sorry, from Western Dakota Regional Water System. They're going to talk to us a little bit about their group and what their project is and what they're proposing as far as regionalization of water. So with that, we'll turn it over to you guys. And
We do have a PowerPoint presentation today.
yeah. plugged in?
I'm plugged in. Unplug it and plug it back in.
Here we go, come on. Shoot.
Maybe not, huh?
Is it wireless?
No. Do you wanna bring your computer over here and I will,
You'll drive?
I'll drive it for you?
Sounds good.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Mike.
Mike,
Welcome.
I'm filling in for Nicholas. Nick,
oh,
There we go.
Nick who?
Nick Jones.
Nick Jones,
We,
councilman.
so the other thing, the mayor has added a council representative, non-officio member to the board.
Oh, okay.
So we used to have that until you were appointed on the board, Ron, when you were a former council member, and
Yeah, yeah.
the mayor went back to that, so, sorry, I should have let you guys know that.
Want us on the mics? Are you recording?
Okay, thanks, Adam.
Yeah, if you please, yep.
Yeah, he wants us on the mics.
You guys need coffee or anything?
No, we're fine.
Go ahead.
You got a pot going?
So, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here. If you want to go to the next slide. We thought we'd start by introducing ourselves. We'll introduce ourselves as individuals and then our organization. So I'm Katie LeClaire. I joined Western Dakota Regional Water System last September as operations manager. And these are my kids, Henry at orchestra concert and my daughter Margaret at ballet. And they are part of the reason that I joined this work is I'd like for there to be a future where they could choose to stay in this area. Oh, and then just a side note, as I was coming here, I was excited to be driving my own car, because when I was in middle school, I took the longest route ever to Sturgis via the service road, via a bus, and it's much shorter on the interstate.
Good morning, I'm Jim Jones. I'm part of the technical team for Western Dakota. Ron, I think we've worked together. My previous job was with Midwest Assistance and RCAP. And yeah, because you have an operations background, correct? Yeah. So I used to put on water and wastewater training. My background's in operations and management of water treatment systems, water and wastewater. I've been with AE2S just over a year and part of the Western Dakota tech team. You can see my boy on the photo there is a swimmer. He had 8 years with the Sturgis Stingrays swim team. He's this last year he started swimming for Rushmore. So we're close. My family lives just outside of Piedmont in Somerset, and happy to be here today to talk about Western Dakota. I think got about 25 years experience in water treatment and water management, and happy to talk about it. We could talk for hours on water treatment. I could anyway. You probably would get bored with it, but
I wouldn't.
yeah, it's a topic that I have a lot of passion for. So we spend a lot of time in the pool, love the Black Hills, play in the dirt a lot, and Vikings fan, that's me.
So, Western Dakota Regional Water System, how did we come to be? How did this effort start? So, since the 70s, municipalities and water districts and entities throughout western South Dakota have had future use water permits to the Missouri River. In 2017, it was time for West Dakota Water Development District to renew theirs. And one of their board members very reasonably asked, why? We've been renewing this since the 70s. Why are we just automatically renewing it? And so they commissioned the School of Mines to conduct a study to see if they should renew it. That study was completed in December of 2019. And it found that not only should they renew their future use water permits and continue to have those rights, but it was time to start looking at utilizing those rights and bringing the water to Western South Dakota because of the need that they identified in the report. The next step was to bring together municipalities and different entities, water entities throughout the community, which happened in 2020, and to share the information from the report with them and ask them if they would be interested in looking into this further. And so the answer was yes, and this organization eventually grew out of that report and those conversations to look at this idea as a community for all Western South Dakota.
Yeah, so this graph represents the culmination of the mines study and the mines report. It was originally created in 2019 and then updated in 2023. If we look at the graph, it's showing us what the current water use versus demand is, and the solid black line was up until 2019. And the dashed line, as it goes up the graph, was the projected population increase. What happened after 2019, you're all aware of COVID and how South Dakota remained open for business. We had national advertising for 20,000 open positions that the state can't fill. We've seen population increases much higher than what that dashed line represented, which was 0.5% for the population increase. We included two more lines on that graph or three more lines, 1%, 2%, and 3% population growth. We're seeing in the Rapid City, in Box Elder, in certain communities, and maybe you're seeing it here too, that the population growth is closer to 2% than it is to 0.5. If we follow that trend over the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you'll see that the available water during average precipitation conditions cannot meet demands. By 2040, at a 2% population growth, we'll have a deficit. Today, we have a deficit if we were in a prolonged drought condition. So if we have an extreme drought, there's not enough water to meet the current demands for the current population. The mine study that Katie talked about focused on Pennington County and that population growth and that water use demand. We'll talk a little bit later in this presentation. We have commissioned a new study from USGS to look at all of the counties in the Black Hills.
And the reasoning it looked at Pennington County was because of the water district that was commissioning the report, and then also that was the information that we had. And now part of our effort and part of our work is to get newer information across a wider area and to look at all of Western South Dakota.
So this is just specific to Pennington County, and their availability would be like Rapid Creek and those sorts of things that they presently use,
Yeah,
right?
it's a combination of
And
groundwater
and
water.
surface water.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Yep. So West Dakota, a completely separate organization from Western Dakota. They commissioned the mine study, and that governing body is specific to Pennington County. So they weren't
Okay,
really
okay.
interested in the Northern Hills or
Yeah,
Southern
or
Hills.
Meade County, or,
Right.
you know, what we do here in Sturgis, and so, okay.
But we are now, and we'll come to, later we'll talk about a USGS report that we commissioned, and we'll invite you to our annual meeting where more of those findings will be shared.
Okay.
So once we identified that we have a shortage in periods of extended drought today and on average use in the future, brought the systems or different entities together to see if we want to pursue it. Out of those meetings came these three recommendations: that we have governance, which was to form a new nonprofit, which is us, Western Dakota Regional Water System not to be confused with the very similarly named West Dakota Water Development District. When I started, I had so many notes on this to keep track of all the names. And so we incorporated as a nonprofit in September of 2021. The second recommendation was a technical evaluation. So we had some information about a limited area. Now we want more information about a wider area to better understand the situation at hand, and we are working on that. Third was funding. So if we are going to do the feasibility study and look into this, we need funding. And so we have received $8 million in ARPA funding, or been awarded that. We've been awarded 2 separate $1 million SWARMS grants. And on Thursday, we have a request for additional ARPA funding of $2.6 million that is on the agenda at the State Water Board. So what we project to be the cost for our feasibility study, which will run through the end of 2026, is largely funded. So we have a little bit of fundraising or money to raise, but it's largely funded at this point. So this just reviews that information again. Members, and for you members, we're here to invite you in to the table. We're still learning, we're still working on what this will look like, and regionalization, to come together and view all of Western South Dakota as a community and have a larger voice in advocating for our needs in that. And so our members, our membership has been growing. To be a Class 1 or Class 2 member, which are the voting members, you must deliver water. Only entities that provide water can be voting members. And then those are also, from those organizations, our board members are represented. So all of our board members deliver water. There's other entities that are interested parties who this would affect. And so they have associate memberships and then individual memberships for anybody who wants to come and join the conversation. So we have an annual meeting, and it will be in September. We'll have an invitation at the end. We cover business items, and we have an education portion of that meeting. So part of our work is to educate the public and to raise the voices of the people in this industry. So we have newsletters and notices, and part of the work that I'm really interested and excited about seeing is to tell water stories of communities, because we aren't all experiencing water in Western South Dakota the same. And different municipalities have different numbers of staff. And so, for example, New Underwood, their public works director, who's about to retire, he, when he has to chip and seal the road, he moves garbage day from 2 days to 1. So there's all the garbage in one day so that he can go out and use that other day to chip and seal the road. And then if there's a water line break, he stops and goes and addresses the water line breaks. So that's not the same as being the public works director in Rapid City. And just to learn more about our neighbors and what they're experiencing. And that's a real opportunity for that, that we can share those stories. We have quarterly member briefings where we tell the members, keep them up to date about the work we're doing. And then quarterly technical sessions, which are open to the public, and we look at key technical issues related to water. The next one is July 12th at noon on Zoom. If you would like to join, I'm happy to email the link to you, and it'll be Mark Van Norman discussing tribal water law. This is our board of directors. And when Cheryl Chapman, our executive director, first came to me and visited with me about coming to work with her, I looked at the board. And I used to work for the city of Rapid City in a time when you would never see a Box Elder person probably working with Rapid City. We didn't get along. And so I was excited to see these communities coming together and the fact that we have Box Elder, Rapid City Spearfish, the former mayor of New Underwood, and others on this board really spoke to the importance of the project, that the people who it's their job to know what's going on are investing their time in this work. So we have an office now, so we are a bit of a startup, and we've shared our journey with you. So now we have an office in the Creamery Mall. We're across from Pure Bean Coffee, so if you are ever there, stop on in, we'd love to see you. So just to review again, these are the budget items that I shared. So we're projecting that our feasibility study, which will run through the end of 2026, will cost $13 million. We have identified $12.7 million and then outlined our different sources there. For the swarms grants, for each one, we have to raise $250,000 in local funds before we can receive any of the $1 million in funding for each one. We have accomplished that for the first swarms grant that we received, and we are nearly there for the second swarms grant.
Okay, so we get asked the question, right? This project's talking about bringing Missouri River water out to the Black Hills. And the question is, can the Missouri River support the demands in western South Dakota? And we looked at the flow on the river coming in from Bismarck during the lowest flow ever recorded, and it was 6,920 million gallons per day flowing through that one spot. Then we looked at the flow that's leaving South Dakota at the lowest flow ever recorded. We saw that there was almost double the amount of flow leaving at Sioux City than what was coming in at Bismarck. So South Dakota has a net positive influence to the Missouri River. And initially, we talked about our needs being about 40 million gallons per day. I think now we're maybe estimating that a little higher as we're getting additional members and looking at the capacity that they are projecting 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. So we're probably looking at 50 million gallons per day now as our estimate. But still, you can see at 50 million gallons per day and the amount of water coming in to the state, it is really 0.5%. It is a drop in the bucket if we look at the total amount of the river volume. Now, I'm not suggesting that 50 million gallons per day isn't a significant number. It's a lot of water that we'll utilize in western South Dakota. It's just insignificant to the vast amount of water that's in the river. Especially right now.
So what about downstream water rights? Did you look at any of that and see, is there gonna be any impairment to anyone that would, sue the state of South Dakota for doing something like this?
The very unique thing about this watershed, especially the Black Hills, is all of the water in the Black Hills ends up back in the Missouri River. So if you think about your discharge here in Sturgis or Rapid City, the Rapid Creek, the Box Elder Creek for Box Elder, Spearfish, Bellefouche, all of those water treatment plants discharge into the watershed. That all ends up in, we'll say 90% ends up in the Cheyenne River. Some end up in the White River if we look at the southern part of the hills, but all of it ends up in the Missouri. Most of it ends up in the Cheyenne, which is upstream of where we intend to have a water intake. So this project really is a water recycle project. So there shouldn't be any impact to downstream users because after you use water here, it all ends up in the same place.
Also, this is an existing model. So Lewis and Clark, East River, we would be similar to that. So they are pulling water from the Missouri River
There's precedent
and
there.
delivering it East River. There's Winds, Dakota Main Stem, so there's 3 East River or existing and in formation. and the Mini-Wachoni West River. So this is a model that exists, that is already happening. We would be looking to serve a greater part of western South Dakota that is currently served.
Question? Does this water that would be coming in, could farmers use it for irrigation?
No.
Thank you.
Yep, not available for irrigation. It is available for livestock.
Okay.
So household uses, I believe, is what's in our bylaws. So this water is for people.
So as part of our feasibility study, we're looking at three main things. We're canvassing and looking at likely members. If you are a part of the Western Dakota water system, you'll have an allocation and will meet your needs, your future needs for capacity. If you're not a member, then you won't be a part of the allocation. We're looking at intake analysis, so we're looking at where you can draw water from on the Missouri River, and I'll get into that in just a minute. And then we're looking at different pipeline routes from the Missouri out to the Black Hills. If we look at the Black Hills specifically, there's about 350 small systems in the Black Hills that serve less than 200 connections. Collectively, those small water systems are about 52,000 in population, and we are estimating their water use to be about 5 million gallons per day, and that's a larger population than South Dakota's third largest city. So there's lots of small systems in the hills. I don't think Western Dakota can provide water to all of them, but there'll be a number of those systems that we will be able to provide water for, and that will be available for membership. I talked a little bit about the intakes. Here's Oahe, Lake Oahe, and the city of Pierre. We're looking at intakes in this area, both upstream and downstream of the dam. Mid-Dakota rural water pulls right above the dam on the east bank, and Mini-Wachoni pulls right below the dam on the west bank. So we're looking at those locations as a likely intake for us. At the dam, this photo here, you can see the turbines in the dam at Oahe. That building on the right, that was an irrigation structure that the federal government funded in the 70s. And we're looking for a way of repurposing use of that irrigation structure. It has intakes right now pulling from the same intakes as the power plant. And it's sized, irrigation projects are really big projects. So it's sized to take a lot of water out of the lake, way more water than we could ever use. But because this building was built about 90% complete, and then authorization was pulled from the building, so it was never put in service. Pumps were never turned on. Water has never flown through the structure. But if we could repurpose it and use it for our needs, we would have a great water source pulling from 60 feet deep in Lake Oahe. And it could probably save $200 to $300 million in total project costs. So besides asking BOR, the federal government, for authorization for the project, we're also asking them for authorization to determine the feasibility of repurposing this building for our uses. And because it's sized so big, there's potential that it could be used for East River supply also.
So we're working on our safety plan to send a drone in there to go and look at the facility further and see how it's aged, but it sounds like it's pretty solid.
This conceptual alignment is the pipe alignment from pier to essentially Box Elder. We're looking at multiple pipe alignments and judging the feasibility of each. This one that we're studying first pulls water there at the dam, follows Highway 34 west of Pier, and then follows Highway 14 essentially through Wall, and then follows the freeway up into Box Elder. Another alignment we're looking at would travel south of Pier to the Vivian Exchange and then west on I-90. Another route will be a little further north and come in on the north side of the hills. So it would follow 34, maybe a little further than what that red line indicates. The challenges with this project are we're lifting water about 2,000 feet. It's going to take multiple booster stations in order to do that. In order to size the pipe, we need to know how much water we're going to be moving. In order to know that, we need to know who of our membership has needs. And some communities, Sturgis, for example, has excellent water quality, has excellent water capacity. So you might feel like we don't need the water, right? We have great wells, we have plenty of good quality water on hand. And it might take a little vision to say, well, what will your needs be 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now? And you still might be in an excellent position with water capacity and water quality. But some of your neighbors in the Black Hills suffer from low capacity today and some poor water quality. So, and very expensive wells in order to get poor quality water, right?
So, and there is a place for everyone in Western South Dakota in this work. So as Rick mentioned, part of this is regionalization. And which is a word that I said to somebody when I was in Pier, and he got excited and said, we've been needing that for so long. And so it is expanding our view of our community and expanding it throughout Western South Dakota and seeing us working together and seeing how we can make ourselves stronger together. And so there is a place for Sturgis as a leader in this region to be a member. And the threshold to entry is purposefully low. We're not here to ask you to fund the feasibility study. We're here to ask you to come to the table because you have a great resource of knowledge, because you know your area, and because we need everybody in this to help envision a good plan.
Yeah, the other thing we're doing as Western Dakota is, you know, before Missouri River water is out here and available, it's easily 20 years, and maybe longer, but at least 20 years probably before anyone's drinking water from the Missouri River through this pipeline. But we want to be active today to help meet community needs. And if we can help Sturgis work with a water system, a neighboring water system, we want to be a part of that. So if you have needs, we see communities today that struggle with capacity or quality. We want to help facilitate communities working together. So as Katie had said earlier, when she was excited about Rapid City working with Box Elder, there's progress being made there where Box Elder and Rapid City are working together. New Underwood, she'd mentioned, has some challenges. Rapid Valley's in that mix too, where this metro group of communities are working together trying to solve some of their neighbors' water quality issues.
And so a vision of what this regionalization could look like is the Public Works Director of Box Elder told me about how for the first time ever, a year ago or so, they had water flow from Box Elder to Rapid City. Because of this, because of regionalization and because of the collaboration, instead of having parallel pipes where we're together, and so when we had a water line break in Rapid City, instead of those folks and residents being out of water, they were able to turn on water from Box Elder. So what this looks like is going to the tap and continuing and turning it on and continuing to get water. And if we do this right, the general public will probably never know or truly appreciate the work that we've done, because we will have worked ahead of some things that could come with our population growth. Interns. So as we've done this work, we've been learning. And we've been, part of that learning is finding out what we don't know. And there are many small systems throughout western South Dakota. They represent a great need to serve. Also, it wasn't feasible to pay the engineering, our engineers, to do that work. It just, in this work, we're very focused on being responsible. We were able to, through Elevate Rapid City, get a grant where we had interns from the School of Mines that we called the A team, because it just turned out that all their names started with A. And they looked into small systems and gathered information for us on small systems so that we could see how do they fit in this work and what does collaborating and serving them look like. And one of the things that we're finding with small systems is they rely on volunteerism. So it is whoever was nominated and voluntold that they're going to do it, or a few people who have been doing it for years who may not continue to do it have been running those small systems. And what does that look like for them in the future? Because there are people within those small systems who are relying on that water. And so just trying to take them into account in this plan and try to see how we could be of service to them.
So we'd spoke of earlier, after the West Dakota mine study, we said we want to look at the entire Black Hills, which includes 6 counties in South Dakota and 2 counties in Wyoming. And Western Dakota commissioned USGS to look at available water in all of those areas in the Black Hills. And we anticipate their report to be available this fall. I've got a few slides as a sneak peek of some of their preliminary data, and I see we are a little over on time, so I'm gonna go through these quickly, but I'll give you a sneak peek, and then if you'll plan to attend our annual meeting, that's September 5th, we'll have a full report.
Where is that located? Is it that gonna be
It'll
out here?
be at the box in Box Elder, and we have a slide coming up that we'll definitely spend a little bit more time on. That first slide just talked a little bit about water availability and the changes. We looked at the Black Hills report initially studied essentially 1930 to 1990, and then they picked up and started to look at 90 to current. We have seen, and you know, with climate and precipitation, there's lots of variability, but our most recent has been wetter than past. So there's more water available than if we looked at 1930, 1940, 1950. However, with the population increase, the demand is higher than in 1930 through 1970. If we look at this next slide, this is a slide that talks about well allocation and permits for groundwater. And that purple line that's bold there is the Madison Aquifer. This is the same aquifer that you're getting your water from. If you look at essentially 1980 to current, the amount of new permits that are drawing from the Madison is incredible and is not sustainable. So
Those are just the permits though, not the actual withdrawal, right?
that's true. That's
Okay.
true, but it's an allocation. So those permits
Are
allow.
allocated by the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. That is true. It is the most popular because it has the best quality, especially in the northern hills. If you were drilling a well today and you had your choice between the Madison and another aquifer, out here you would pick the Madison, all things being equal, because it is especially in the northern hills, an excellent source of water.
So
What I would caution, what this graph is saying though, is there is a lot of straws pulling water out of that Madison aquifer. And when this study's complete, we'll know, because an independent, third-party, impartial, right, USGS folks will tell us what's available today and what we can predict in the future. And it might say the Northern Hills has excellent capacity and we have nothing to worry about. And it might say the Southern Hills, we got a lot to worry about. So,
in addition to being independent and the USGS being the right choice, by contracting with them, the information will be open to the public and the report will be shared and can be utilized. So we're really, again, looking at being a community, being a project that shares information, that makes resources available.
yeah, so USGS is breaking down the Black Hills into 9 independent zones and will provide a report on all 9 of those areas.
When are they expecting the report to be complete?
This fall.
This fall? Okay.
So our contract goes through the end of the year. We're expecting them to provide an update about where they are at our September annual meeting. So this is a roadmap, and the purpose of this is to just show for a large project like this, it's not a straight road. It's not linear. There are many steps. So when one of the steps earlier in our progress in our work was we had a competitive selection for engineers, and the team that was selected was AE2S, and we're very fortunate to have an engineering firm that has experience with water projects of this scale in a firm that's located locally, and then also to our neighbor to the north. So North Dakota invested a lot of public funds in infrastructure during their oil boom, and now we are benefiting from the knowledge of those engineers who worked on those projects who have done this before. And so they put together this chart to show us what it looks like, kind of what the stages look like. So right now, we're at the very beginning. We're trying to understand who wants to be a part of this, the needs, and then we need to work with the federal government about authorization for a feasibility study for reclamation to work with us, which is a huge component of this that we didn't really get into, but we can visit about further if you have more another time. And so there will be other steps later. Annual meeting September 5th, 2024. If you would like me to, I will email you an invitation. If you have a card, I can grab one, or I can get it from Rick. Please come and join us. Doors will open at 8. The education component will begin at 9. So save the date on your calendar. And we have a great lineup, so you'll get more of the USGS report. The base commander is going to come and talk about the future of their mission. We'll have the mayor Box Elder, so Doug Curry, the public works director for Box Elder, is our board president now. And so we're going to share a bit on their community.
Is that AM or PM?
AM.
Okay.
What time?
8 a.m.,
8 a.m.
9 AM.
9 a.m. for the presentation. The doors open.
Thank you, Katie, Jim. We appreciate you coming down and sharing that with us, and we'll be sure to follow up if we have any questions
Sure.
for you.
So, thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to come.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And incidentally, I would like an email for that, so,
Do you have a, or can I?
If you can get it to us, I'll forward it to the board.
Okay, super.
okay. Okay. I guess that takes us to the city finance officer's report. Adam?
Good morning. Not much to report right now. We are doing the water shutoffs today. We went from about 4.5 pages to 9 people as of this morning. Hopefully we can get it lower. She thinks she'll be able to get it to under 3 with some of the people she's talked to, so.
Yeah, the
Sounds-
phone calls are helping out quite a bit, aren't
Yes, Jenny does a great job, just hounding all those people and getting them to pay, so.
Okay, just one question on finances. I had a call from Ken Sabers last night, and he's worried that we're running out of money, and I don't know if that's true. It's from conversations he had with Rick. But we do transfer every year, I think it's in January or February, some money to other, the water department is the main money maker other than the rally department for the city of Sturgis. But we transfer money out of the water department to other non-enterprise fund department.
Yes, they do that with the budget. It's kind of budgeted in.
Correct. Can you I'm trying to remember, my memory is failing me a little bit now, but how much did we transfer this year? Was it like, it was,
I would have to look. I can look
Okay.
and get
So
back.
between, we pay for a portion of the wages for all of the finance office, the water fund does. And then I do know,
And we
I
do-
don't have an exact breakdown, but we also transfer an administrative amount. And I do know between sanitation, water and wastewater, it's $777,000.
okay, that's the
And
number
it's
I was
probably
dealing with.
about an equal breakup between.
And then there's little things like we pay the SEDC.
Correct.
And stuff like that, yeah, okay. I just wanted to know a little bit because I had some conversations last night with Ken and he was,
He was visiting with me about our water reserves and I guess the big item that we had discussed is, a lot of those reserves have been encumbered and through some of our new development, that money has been loaned out, so we don't have it readily available.
but we're still gonna be able to do the projects that we had,
Some of them we
Some of
will,
them.
some of
like the East Main and
those have been put on hold because we don't have the funding for those.
So who has control of the purse strings on that then?
The city council does.
Okay.
What's the luck with that?
So you're not on the city council anymore, Mike?
I'm on the council, but we have not discussed the East Main situation yet.
Because those folks have been waiting for something for a
We've,
long
the-
time.
right now, all of our capital improvement schedule has been put on hold
Oh, it has,
per the council.
per council, okay. Well,
They're quickly becoming overextended.
okay, can you, for me, Mike, can you, when you're at the next city council meeting, at least impress upon them from the municipal water board that we're concerned because we are the enterprise fund that makes money and our money goes out to other funds and we may not be able to complete some of the projects that we have already approved. Can you do that?
And then you take notes.
Okay. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. I guess that brings us to any customer concerns on the agenda. I don't see any other customers out here. Do we have customer concerns or complaints? Okay.
No, we don't.
So that brings us to Todd, the water superintendent report.
Okay, so I have a quick show and tell for you, but it addresses the shut-off day as well with the added time in making phone calls so we don't mess with the curb stops. I will show you a curb stop that broke when we shut it off.
Some things are best left alone.
This is a fairly modern one.
Yeah.
I want to say it's about 25, 30 years old. This is the tab that you put your key on to twist, and you can see it broke there. What was holding it was brass, probably poor quality, something that slipped through out of the millions that were made. And there should have been a whole ring holding this on. That keeps it from twisting off, and when we twisted it, it broke, so we had to,
Dig it up.
yeah. So the effort put into us not shutting you off for non-payment if you pay saves a lot of money in digging.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of shutting valves off.
How many customers are out of service?
One.
Just one
Just
on
this
that
one?
one, yep. That was, took us about 2/3 of a day start to finish, not counting sidewalk and, you know, the final prep, but to have them back in service, they were not without service for very long.
Thank you.
Where was that at?
That one was on Baldwin.
And that was a customer that hadn't paid their bill?
Nope, that was just a turned on for seasonal.
Okay.
So, yeah, that wasn't even a non-payment, but that's just a prime example
Yeah,
considering.
but this town, we have a lot of those, don't we?
Yes, we do, and it's scary every time
Yeah,
especially when they're in the older part of town,
yeah.
but the older stuff seems to maybe hold up better than the 90s and early 2000s stuff at times. It's relative to manufacture, I suppose. Beyond that, we did have another, we had a main leak on Dolan Creek that we did fix. That one, little complicated there, but we got it sorted out, got it fixed in one day. We did have another service line, so there was one person without water there for a short time as well, and that was just a simple kink in the copper pipe right in front of the curb stop on our side, and 30 years of flow, it wore a hole in that little tiny kink, and gradually started leaking worse and worse till it surfaced.
I'd mentioned too that the main break that we had on Dolan Creek was part of the old Murray Edition lines. It wasn't our new.
It wasn't anything that we installed, it was
No.
Ray Murray.
And we're looking at a potential remediation on that would be very inexpensive. I have a little more research to do to verify who, what, when, and where is tapped into that, but we may be able to in the future abandon a large portion of that line so it's no longer a concern.
It was a pipe material that didn't meet our specifications, and it had actually longitudinally split, which is not what we normally see either.
No. So yes, so when some of the contractors get upset because we have specs, thus is the reason we spec things out so that in theory we're not digging up poor quality materials.
No, and you gotta keep on top of those guys.
Oh boy.
You know.
Yes. There's most of them are very good, but yes. Beyond that, we've just been busy doing normal things. We did do some prep work for the Well 8 project that is still on course. We're just waiting for them to get started drilling. So, any questions?
That project's gonna go through because it's basically a.
That's an SRF funded
Yeah, it's an
project,
SRF, yeah.
correct? Been awarded and is underway.
It's awarded with a loan or a loan from the state, and so we have the money for that.
Correct, we had a surcharge pledge to repay that, so, yeah, those projects, anything SRF is already awarded and underway, we don't have any outstanding, projects, I guess.
Just to fill Bernie in on this, that's a well that's out on the old Richardson property that we
Correct.
recently purchased, and we're putting in a new well out there. And it's basically funded with a loan through the state. That's
Right, we went a year ago, and received a state revolving loan fund
For how much?
of $5,600,000 and some thousand odd dollars. Correct. And-
wells aren't cheap.
And so that project was awarded about 2 months ago by the council and is currently underway. We actually have a progress meeting tomorrow on it. They have not started drilling, but we anticipate they will start anytime in the next week or so, 10 days. We're waiting on their submittal, their shop drawings for their casing, and once that's approved, then they can get started. Likely will be 10 days to 14 days of drilling, 24 hours a day. We anticipate about 1,700 feet in depth, and that will get us into the Madison aquifer.
What's nice about the location being closer to the hills is it's closer to the Madison aquifer.
Correct.
From the surface.
The further you get
The further,
east,
Yeah.
yeah.
the deeper they go.
5 million.
We have one on the ranch that's 2,400 feet.
Any questions of me?
No more.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Now it's your turn, Rick.
So with that, we are, that well project had 3 phases in it. One was drilling the well. The second schedule on that was the well building and the pumping and all of that. And then thirdly, we had the interconnection out to Vanacker Canyon Road and connecting into our system. So that well will be connected to our system, which is right now we currently have 7 wells. That well is just simply replacing some of our older ones. I can send out to you guys, I've got a sheet that kind of has the status of all the different wells and their age and what they're pumping. And we've got many wells, I think 3, I believe, that are just simply aging out. They've lived their useful life. We've got some that don't pull near as good a quality, like the one by McDonald's. Well number 5 is, we can only even run it for a month at a time. That's what our permit is because it pulls so much sand and debris up into it. So this is a new well that hopefully will replace some of those and be a good water producer and good quality water. That project is anticipated to close out by July of 2025. So it'll be a kind of a year-round project over there are certain stages. We drill the well first, and then we have to size the pump and get the pump in, and then we build the well building and all the pumps and valves and treatment that we have to do. We have to add chlorine and a little bit of fluoride. So we get all that done, and then we do the interconnection, and then we have some upgrades up at our south tank that will allow, one of them being a new altitude valve and some different things there that will make all of this work correctly. So we're moving forward with that. In addition, Davenport Phase 3, we did the final walkthrough on that about 3 weeks ago. We'll do another. They've working on getting their punch list items done, so we'll be reviewing those at the end of the week, and that project will be done. We just received plans. We'll start reviewing for the Hidden Hills and Valley View subdivision, which is the subdivision located on Avalanche Road. So we'll be reviewing those plans, probably be about 30 days. Make our recommendations for any changes to those plans back, and then we anticipate that project will start probably late summer or early fall. In conjunction, we've already awarded and are waiting to start on our sewer project that will go from the football field basically all the way out there. Again, that's an SRF project that has been funded and awarded. So other than that, we're working through the budgets. Again, money's going to be a little bit tight, so we were asked to put our budgets together with simply operational needs and nothing more than that. So that's what we're working through. We don't anticipate at this point in time any of our capital improvement projects have been put on hold, so we'll have to work with the council to figure out how those are going. So we don't anticipate any new infrastructure projects, with the exception of just simply doing, if we have a main break or something like that, of course, we have to respond, but we're not actively going to be going out and replacing mains or doing anything of that nature. Again, the East Main, the East Sherman, that's a very, very large project, in excess of $7 million. And so that one has been, which was slated for next year, has been put on hold as well. So with that, I'd entertain any questions you may have.
What about the young couple that's been showing up at city council meeting concerning a water issue at their house?
That's stormwater.
Okay. Is that?
We're working on that, correct?
It is repairable, right?
We had the engineering done on that, and I believe that project to resolve in the problem in its entirety was somewhere around $277,000. So that project is in our capital improvement plan, but it has nothing, we haven't moved forward with it yet.
You can catch me afterwards, Bernie, or we'll go to breakfast sometime, I'll tell you the rest of the story. It's quite a story. And it affects two houses, but it has the potential to impact the apartment building below it, so.
Where is this located?
This is on David Drive, East Avenue and David Drive over by the elderly homes there. What are they? Heritage Acres. There you go.
Okay.
Off of Ballpark.
Just one other question I had, Rick, and the new well number 8, it was originally designed to also to be used for the lake project that was out there. Does that have any bearing on how we size the pump and those sorts of things?
No, it just simply, and it'll still be there. There's some valving that allows for raw water to be pulled, and so it wouldn't necessarily go through our well house and treatment. Should we want to do that in the future, that valving is still in place.
So we'll still do the well as if we were doing the project in case the city council
Yeah,
decides they want to do that sometime in the future.
this project was designed and built that it could handle a multitude of different things, that being one of them.
Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't dependent on that particular project, but we had made accommodations. It was just a matter of adding a gate valve.
Yeah, it's
so,
not that big a deal.
yeah, well.
Okay. Well, I guess that takes us to old business. Any old business? I don't have any. New business. I have a question about the presentation that those folks made. Are we going to, they're going to ask us if we want to become members.
We've already we've been discussing this for a couple of years, and we already have plans to be a member. It's a $1,500
A year.
membership. We do have plans. I think that project is important, and it doesn't necessarily impact us, given that we're a deep well and we don't do a lot of treatment, but the fact that if it takes other people off of our system, we're probably one of the only that I'm even aware of in the western South Dakota that relies simply on deep wells. Most other communities rely on both surface water and wells, a combination, and that's where we really see a need, or they have bad water. So if those users end up becoming a part of this, that makes the aquifers better, and you're not pulling as much water.
yeah.
So if we don't become a member of it, at some point in time, we're gonna lose the ability to have a say and to be able to get water. So for that alone, there's, you know, it's a valid point to,
No, I agree
for
with
us
you.
to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's probably valid to be a part of it. We still, you know, like, we have very, very good wells. We have a good location to get into the Madison Aquifer. And we still have the water right for the Davenport dams if we ever needed it.
Right, we can't,
I
so
wouldn't
we
use
had
that,
those,
but-
yeah, we had those tested and they're not drinking quality. We couldn't use those for water, for drinking water without treating it.
Well, we'd have, yeah, obviously, I mean, but that's, if you get Missouri River water, it's gotta be
Yeah.
treated anyway, so.
Right,
you know.
I don't think that the state would probably allow us to, well, I know they won't allow
No.
you to intermix the well water with surface water, which would be the river I mean, we would have to be one or the other.
Right, well, unless it was, you know, if it went through the right type of filtration and those sorts of things, because that's basically what it has.
Certainly that, you know, like I said, probably in our lifetime, we won't see that happen, but it will happen. It's got enough momentum. I've been to enough talks on it, and it's certainly at some point in time in the future, whether it's 20 years or 30 years, I think it really will happen. So we certainly want to have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
So that would be a city council, though, that makes the approval of that, since it's City of Sturgis, right?
It's just, I mean, we've already got it budgeted. It's just a membership.
It's
I
just
don't know.
$1,500
Cheryl had came and made a presentation to the city council a year ago about, like I said, it's been kind of going on for a few years. They really gained a lot of traction last year when they got that big ARPA funding from the state. That's what really put it on the table and was able to move forward. And it sounds like they're gonna go back and get some more state funding. So I think, you know, with that being said, you know, that state funding goes through the South Dakota Board of Water. And if they're on board with it and gave that large of an amount for funding, you know, I think that it's certainly valid.
Sure.
So,
Is that Cheryl Chapman?
yes.
I was just making sure it wasn't something we needed to make a motion on.
No.
Okay.
Other matters that may come before the board? Not hearing any. Is there a request for executive session? No request for executive session. I guess I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So, we are adjourned.
And next meeting,
Next meeting is,
July
23rd?